Clean out your desk. You're done. Don't bother coming back. I stared at those words on my phone screen, standing in a Mexico City hotel lobby at 9 p.m., 22 years with Titan Manufacturing, and this is how it ends. A text message from Brady Coleman, my 36-year-old boss who got promoted 6 months ago because he went to Wharton and talks about disrupting supply chains. I'm Mason Rodriguez, 49 years old. I've been managing international procurement longer than Brady's been out of college, but apparently that doesn't matter anymore. The company credit card was already declined when I tried to pay for dinner. My rental car wouldn't start because the payment got pulled. I had $180 cash in my wallet and a daughter back home who needed her college fund. Let me back up and tell you how I got here. After my divorce 4 years ago, work became everything. Sophie, my 12-year-old daughter, stays with me every other weekend and holidays. My ex-wife Jenna got the house, I got the condo, and the responsibility to fund Sophie's future education. Fair enough, that's what fathers do. I started at Titan Manufacturing straight out of college in 2002, worked my way up from junior buyer to senior supply chain director, built relationships with suppliers across 3 continents. When other companies were switching vendors every quarter chasing the cheapest price, I was building partnerships that lasted years. That's how I met Carlos Mendoza. His family runs a steel fabrication plant outside Mexico City. 3rd-generation business. They make precision steel beams that hold up skyscrapers and bridges. Quality so good that architects request them by name. Carlos is 61, been in the business his whole life. His wife Rosa handles the administrative side. They treat business relationships like family relationships. Your word means something. Handshakes matter more than contracts. 3 months ago, Titan needed a major supplier for our new construction equipment line. We're talking about an $8 million contract over 2 years. Steel beams, precision-cut components, custom fabrication work. The kind of partnership that could anchor both companies for the long term. Brady called me into his office. "We need this Mexico deal locked down," he said, barely looking up from his laptop. "I don't care what it takes. Get down there and close it." "It's not about closing, Brady. It's about building the right partnership. Carlos runs a family operation. You need to show respect." He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Respect doesn't show up on quarterly reports, Mason. Revenue does. Just get the signature." I spent 3 weeks in Mexico City. Not because the negotiations were difficult, but because Carlos wanted to do things right. He walked me through every part of his operation, introduced me to his workers, most of whom had been there for over a decade, showed me quality control processes that would make German engineers jealous. "Your company," Carlos said during one of our dinners, "they understand what we do here?" "I understand," I told him. "That's what matters." "Yes, but you're not the company. What happens if you leave?" I laughed. "I'm not going anywhere. I've been with Titan for 22 years. Carlos nodded, but I could see something in his eyes. Experience. The kind that comes from watching corporate America for decades. We structured the deal with me as the primary contact. Every order, every change, every communication would go through me. Carlos insisted on it. "I trust you," he said. "I don't know these other people." The contract was worth $8 million over 2 years, with options for renewal. It would save Titan 15% over their current suppliers while delivering better quality. A win for everyone. Brady kept texting me. "When are you signing? What's taking so long? The board's asking questions." I explained that building trust takes time, that rushing would ruin everything we'd worked for. His response was always the same. "I need results, not excuses." Sophie's 13th birthday came while I was in Mexico. I sent her presents and made a video call, but it wasn't the same. She cried. Jenna was understanding but firm. She needs her father, Mason, not just the money you send. I promised Sophie I'd be home soon, that this trip was important for her future. College costs $30,000 a year now. State schools, private universities are double that. Finally, everything was ready. Carlos wanted to do the signing ceremony properly, with his whole family present. 3 generations building something that would last. I was proud of what we'd created together. Really proud. That's when Brady sent the text message. I sat in that hotel lobby for an hour, trying to figure out what went wrong. 22 years of loyalty, missing my daughter's birthday, eating street food to save the company money, taking buses instead of taxis, all so Titan could save a few dollars. And Brady called me done, just like that. Something clicked inside me. Not anger exactly. Something colder. I looked at the unsigned contract in my briefcase, the one worth $8 million, the one that specifically named me as the required contact for all business. I walked out of that hotel, found my way to Carlos's plant one last time. The lights were still on when I arrived. Carlos and Rosa were finishing paperwork for the next day's ceremony. They looked surprised when I walked in. "Mason," Carlos said, "everything okay? You look upset." "They fired me," I said simply. "Brady sent a text this evening, said I'm done, canceled my company card, told me not to come back." Rosa's hand went to her mouth. Carlos's face went hard. "After 22 years, he said quietly. "After you built this agreement." "Yes. Where are you staying tonight?" "Hotel, I guess." "I've got enough cash for maybe 2 nights. Carlos and Rosa exchanged one of those looks married couples have, a whole conversation without words. "The signing tomorrow," Carlos said. "What do you want to happen?" That's when I realized what he was really asking. The contract wasn't just about me being a contact person. The language we'd negotiated made me the required liaison for the entire partnership. Without me, there was no deal. "What do you mean?" I asked. "This agreement," he gestured to the papers, "it's written with your name. The company must work through you to get our steel. That's what we negotiated. But I don't work there anymore." "Exactly," Carlos said. "So why would I sign with them?" It hit me slowly. Without me, Titan couldn't get the steel they needed for their new product line. The line that was supposed to launch in 6 months. The line that would make or break their year. "They'll send someone else," I said. "They'll try to renegotiate." "Let them try," Carlos shrugged. "Aurora Industrial's been calling us for 2 years. Better terms, better respect. We always said no because we had an understanding with Titan, but now Titan's broken that understanding. Aurora Industrial, Titan's biggest competitor. They'd been trying to poach our suppliers for years." "You'd really walk away from $8 million?" I asked. "The money isn't walking away," Rosa said gently. "It's just walking to someone who treats people properly." Carlos leaned forward. "Aurora Industrial asked us last month if we knew anyone who could coordinate their international procurement. Someone with experience. Someone with connections." He meant me. "I can't," I said automatically. "I need to get home. I need to find another job. You need to stop letting people treat you like you're disposable," Carlos said firmly. "This Brady, he throws you away like garbage after you build something valuable. And you want to rush home and find another person who'll do the same? I have a daughter. I need stable work." "This isn't risky," Rosa said. "This is you taking what you've earned. I spent that night in their guest room upstairs. Small, clean, comfortable." Rosa brought me coffee and homemade bread in the morning. "My father used to say something," she told me. "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Your boss showed you who he is. Don't give him a second chance." The next morning, Carlos made 2 phone calls. First to Shane Williams, CEO of Aurora Industrial, then to Brady. "Shane," Carlos said, putting the call on speaker so I could hear. "This is Carlos Mendoza from Familia Mendoza Steelworks. Remember we talked about partnering? I have someone you should meet. He's brilliant. He's the reason Titan wanted to work with us. Now he's available." Shane Williams wanted to meet that afternoon. Carlos arranged everything. They sent an actual car with a driver. After 3 weeks of taking buses, it felt surreal. Then Carlos called Brady. I sat there in his office while he put the phone on speaker. My hands were shaking, but I kept my face calm. Brady answered on the second ring. "Carlos, finally. I've been trying to reach you. Are we all set for this morning?" "No," Carlos said. "We're not all set." Silence. "What do you mean?" Brady's voice got tight. "I mean there'll be no signing, no agreement. Familia Mendoza won't be working with Titan Manufacturing." "Is this about money?" "Because we can—" "This is about respect," Carlos interrupted. "Something you don't understand. Now wait a minute. I don't know what Mason told you, but he told me you fired him after he spent 3 weeks here building something good. After he worked harder than anyone I've seen, you threw him away like he means nothing." "That's an internal company matter," Brady said. His voice was controlled now, corporate. "It doesn't have anything to do with our business arrangement." "It has everything to do with it," Carlos said. "Mason was our arrangement. We negotiated with him, we trust him, we don't trust you. So there's no arrangement, you can't do this, we have a verbal agreement. We have nothing, Carlos said, and now I'm going to work with Aurora Industrial instead. They've been asking us for 2 years. We said no because we were loyal to Titan, but Titan wasn't loyal to the person who made this possible. Wait, he hung up. I just stared at him. My heart was pounding. Did you just... I started. Yes, Carlos said calmly. I did. Now let's talk about your new job. Aurora Industrial's office was in a better part of the city. Newer buildings, cleaner streets. Shane Williams met me personally. Maybe 51 years old, firm handshake, direct eye contact. Carlos speaks very highly of you, he said. Tell me about yourself. I told him the real version. About Sophie. About working at Titan. About building relationships because I actually cared about people. About being stranded yesterday, and yet being here today instead of on a plane home. Why? Shane asked. Because Carlos made me realize something, I said. I'm good at what I do, really good, and I'm tired of people who can't see that. Shane smiled. Carlos said you negotiated an $8 million agreement. Can you do that again for us? Yes, I said, and I meant it. Then let's talk about what you need. Salary, travel arrangements, flexible schedule because you have a daughter. All of it. No one had ever asked me that before. What I needed. What would make this work for me? I told him about needing to be home for Sophie. About wanting fair compensation. About needing respect and trust. About wanting to build something that mattered. Done, Shane said. All of it. When can you start? My phone started ringing that evening. Brady, over and over. I didn't answer. Then the text started. What did you tell Carlos? You sabotaged us. This is illegal. You'll hear from our lawyers. Then, Mason, please, let's talk about this. Maybe I was too harsh yesterday. We can work something out. Come back and we'll fix this. I blocked his number. The next morning, Carlos drove me to the airport. He'd paid for my ticket, wouldn't let me refuse. You earned this, he said at the departure gate. You earned respect. You earned a good job. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The flight home was the longest 8 hours of my life. I kept thinking about Sophie, about holding her, about telling her things were going to be different now. Jenna picked me up from the airport. One look at my face and she asked, "What happened?" I told her everything in the car. She kept glancing at me while driving. So you just walked away and now you have a better job? I didn't walk away, I said. They threw me away. I just made sure they couldn't benefit from the pieces. Sophie was asleep when I got home. I sat on the edge of her bed and watched her breathe. She looked so peaceful. I brushed hair from her face and she stirred. Dad? Her eyes opened, then went wide. Dad! She threw her arms around my neck and I held her tight. You're home, she said into my shoulder. I'm home, kiddo, and I'm never going to miss another birthday. You promised you'd be back for my birthday, she said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. I broke that promise, but I'm going to keep this one. She pulled back and looked at my face. Are you okay, Dad? You look different. I'm better than okay, I said. Everything's going to be better now. That weekend, Titan Manufacturing tried to reach me through other channels. Someone from HR sent me a message. Brady would like to speak with you about reconsidering your position. We're prepared to offer increased compensation. I wrote back, I don't have a position to reconsider. I was fired via text message while stranded overseas. Don't contact me again. They tried twice more. Different people, same message. I ignored them all. 2 weeks later, I was back in Mexico City. This time, Aurora Industrial arranged everything. Decent apartment near Carlos's plant. Rental car so I wouldn't need buses. Schedule that, let me fly home every other weekend. Shane met me on my first day. Ready to build something? Yes, I said. The work was similar, but everything else was different. When I had ideas, people listened. When I needed time off, nobody made me feel guilty. When I did good work, they acknowledged it. I helped Aurora Industrial secure not just steel from Carlos's family, but aluminum from suppliers in Canada, precision parts from manufacturers in Germany. Each connection was treated like it mattered. Sophie adjusted better than expected. Tessa says you have a big important job now, she told me during one visit home, talking about her aunt. Is that true? It's important to me, I said. But you're more important. That's why I come home so much. I like that you come home, she said simply. And I like those cookies you bring from the airplane. Meanwhile, things at Titan were falling apart fast. I didn't seek out this information, but news travels in small industries. People talk. Without Carlos's steel, they couldn't fulfill their equipment orders. They tried finding other suppliers, but nobody could match the quality or timelines. The equipment they managed to produce was inferior. Customers complained. Orders got canceled. Brady was scrambling. I heard through someone who still worked there that he tried to contact Carlos again, offered more money, better terms, practically begged. Carlos told him, "You had the best procurement director in the industry. You called him worthless and left him stranded overseas. Why would I trust anything you say? The financial damage was severe. The equipment line was supposed to bring in $45 million over 2 years. Instead, it brought losses, returns, angry customers, legal threats from clients who felt cheated. Brady tried to save himself. He fired other people on his team, restructured the division, made promises about fixing everything. But the damage was done. When you lose your core supplier and can't deliver on contracts, word gets around fast. 3 months after I started with Aurora Industrial, their construction equipment line launched. Every component was sourced through relationships I'd built. The equipment was superior quality at competitive prices. Word spread quickly about Aurora's reliability. Orders flooded in from companies that had been burned by Titan's failures. Construction firms that needed equipment they could count on. Manufacturers looking for reliable suppliers. Shane called me into his office after the first quarter numbers came in. "Do you know what you've done?" he asked. "Just did my job," I said. "You built us a foundation," he said. "These relationships you've created, these suppliers who trust us because they trust you, that's not just a job. That's rare." He offered me a promotion. VP of International Procurement. More money than I'd ever imagined. Full benefits. Equity stake in the company. "Yes," I said before he could finish explaining. That evening I called Carlos to share the news. He laughed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "I knew it," he said. "I told Rosa, that man's going to change everything. And look at you now. I couldn't have done it without you," I said. "You did it yourself," he corrected gently. "I just gave you a chance to show what you could do. You did the rest." 6 months after that text message in the Mexico City hotel, Titan Manufacturing filed for bankruptcy protection. Their parent company sold them off in pieces. The equipment division shut down completely. Brady lost his job. No surprise there. But what happened next was harder to track. Some people said he tried to find work at other manufacturing companies. Nobody would hire him. His reputation was damaged. When potential employers called references, they heard about how he treated suppliers, how he treated his own team, how he destroyed an $8 million partnership because he couldn't value experience. Last I heard, he was working at some small regional firm nobody had heard of, making maybe half his old salary, living in a smaller apartment, driving an older car. I didn't celebrate when I heard this. I just felt tired of people like him, tired of a world that lets people like him rise while people who actually do the work have to fight for recognition. But I also felt something else, relief that I'd gotten out, that I'd found people who valued what I could do. A year later, Aurora Industrial opened their flagship showroom in Houston. Shane invited me to the opening. I brought Sophie with me. She was 14 now, taller, more confident. "Did you really help make all this happen, Dad?" she asked, eyes wide as we walked through displays of construction equipment. "I helped connect the right people," I said. "The steel workers in Mexico, the parts manufacturers in Germany, the engineers here. I helped them work together." "That's a lot of helping," she said seriously. "It is," I agreed, "and I get paid well for it, which means your college fund's looking pretty good." Her face lit up. "Really? Really? You can go anywhere you want. State school, private university, whatever fits your dreams." Shane found me near the end of the event. "I'm glad you came," he said. "This wouldn't exist without you." "It would exist," I said. "Maybe just with different suppliers." "No," Shane said firmly. "Not like this. You built something special, Mason. These suppliers don't just work with us because we pay them. They work with us because they trust you. That's valuable. That's rare." That night, Sophie fell asleep on the plane home. Her head rested on my shoulder while I thought about everything that had changed. A year and a half ago, I was standing in a Mexico City hotel reading a text that essentially called me worthless, stranded, scared, $180 in my wallet, and no idea how to get home. Now I had a job that valued me, Suppliers around the world who respected me, enough money to give Sophie the education she deserved, and most importantly, the knowledge that I'd never let anyone treat me that way again. Did I destroy Titan Manufacturing? No. Brady did that when he decided experience was worthless, when he threw away the person who'd built something valuable. I just refused to save him from his own choices. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty, if I wonder whether I should have handled things differently. The answer's no. I don't feel guilty for valuing myself, for refusing to let someone benefit from work they didn't appreciate, for walking away from people who treated me like I was disposable. Carlos taught me something important. He said, "When someone throws you away, don't climb back into their trash bin. Walk away and let them realize what they've lost." That's what I did. I walked away and built something better. Sophie's 15 now. She knows the story. She knows her father was treated badly once, that he was stranded far from home, that he found a way to turn something terrible into something good. "You're tough, Dad," she told me last week while we were working on her algebra homework. "I'm not tough," I said. "I was just tired of being treated badly." "That's what tough means," she said with teenage confidence. "Being scared, but doing it anyway." Maybe she's right. Maybe choosing yourself when everyone else wants you to disappear is the toughest thing you can do. I still work with Aurora Industrial, still travel to meet suppliers, still build relationships that matter. Carlos and Rosa are like family now. Sophie calls them Grandpa Carlos and Grandma Rosa when we video chat. Last month, Carlos officially retired, passed the business to his son Miguel. At the celebration, he pulled me aside. "You know what I'm proudest of?" he asked. "Building such a successful business," I guessed. "No," he said. "I'm proud that I recognized your worth when your own boss couldn't. I'm proud that I gave you a chance, and I'm proud of everything you've become." "Thank you," I whispered, "for everything." "Thank yourself," he said. "You did the work. You had the courage. I just opened a door. You walked through it." The construction industry's grown to know Aurora Industrial as the reliable choice. We're not the biggest, but we're the one contractors call when they need quality they can count on. When they need suppliers who will deliver on time, every time. When they need equipment that won't break down 6 months later. I've hired 3 more people for my international team. All of them people who understand that relationships matter more than quarterly reports. All of them people who've been undervalued somewhere else and needed a chance to show what they could do. Shane keeps talking about expanding into new markets. South America, Asia, Europe. Each expansion means new suppliers to find, new relationships to build, new partnerships that could last decades. It's exactly the kind of work I love. Sophie's thinking about colleges now, engineering maybe, or business. She talks about wanting to build things that help people, which makes me proud in ways I can't even explain. "Will you help me with my applications?" she asked last weekend. "Of course," I said. "That's what dads do." "Good dads," she corrected. "Not all dads stick around when things get hard." She's right about that too. Her mother and I may not have made marriage work, but we both stuck around for the important stuff. The homework help, the soccer games, the late-night talks about boys and friends and what she wants to be when she grows up. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd just taken that text message lying down. If I'd flown home quietly, updated my resume, started job hunting like nothing happened. Brady would have found another supplier eventually. Maybe not as good as Carlos, but good enough. Titan might have survived, but I also think about what I would have lost. The respect Carlos showed me, the opportunity Shane gave me, the chance to build something real and lasting, the ability to provide for Sophie's future without constantly worrying about money. Most importantly, I would have lost the knowledge that I'm worth more than a text message dismissal after 22 years of loyalty. You can't put a price on that kind of self-respect. So that's my story. That's what happened when my boss fired me overseas and left me stranded. I didn't get typical revenge. I didn't destroy anyone directly. I just stopped helping. I stopped building for someone who didn't value what I built. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's refusing to save someone from themselves. Sometimes the best revenge is choosing yourself. And sometimes, when you choose yourself, you discover you're worth a whole lot more than you ever imagined. I'm 51 now. Sophie's got her whole life ahead of her. Aurora Industrial's growing every quarter. Carlos and Rosa send us Christmas cards from their retirement in Guadalajara. My condo's paid off, my daughter's college funds fully funded, and I wake up every morning knowing that the people I work with actually value what I bring to the table. Brady Coleman? I honestly don't think about him much anymore. Last I heard, he was still at that small regional firm, still trying to convince people he's got what it takes to run a major operation. Good luck with that. Me? I've got suppliers to visit, relationships to maintain, and a daughter to help with her college applications. Real work, important work, work that matters. Work. That's enough revenge for anyone.